The wind was a sculptor, carving ice from the very air. It bit at my exposed cheeks, a constant, stinging reminder of the Arctic's indifference. Around me, a monochrome world stretched, an endless canvas of white and gray under a sky that felt impossibly close, pressing down like a heavy lid. The only sounds were the rasp of sled runners against the snow, the rhythmic panting of the dogs, and the whisper of the wind, a lonely symphony played out at the edge of the world. My breath crystallized before me, a fleeting ghost in this land of permanent winter. I pulled my fur-lined hood tighter, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settle upon my shoulders. We were far out now, days from the nearest outpost, patrolling the desolate border. The air held a stillness, a deceptive peace that belied the harsh reality of survival in this unforgiving landscape. The dogs, a team of powerful huskies, were the only warmth in this frozen world. Their thick fur glistened with ice, their breath pluming like miniature volcanoes. They strained against their harnesses, eager to run, their primal instincts honed by generations of survival in this harsh climate. Leading them was Nanook, a grizzled veteran with eyes as blue and sharp as glacial ice. He was more than just a lead dog, he was a partner, a silent confidant in this vast, empty wilderness. He glanced back at me occasionally, a subtle check-in, a reassurance that we were still connected, still a team against the immensity of the Arctic. I trusted him implicitly. He knew this land, this weather, this life, in a way I never could. The sun, a pale disk on the horizon, cast long, skeletal shadows across the snow. The light was strange, ethereal, painting the landscape in hues of lavender and rose. It was a beauty that both captivated and intimidated. A beauty that whispered of the fragility of life, of the constant struggle against the elements. I shivered, not entirely from the cold. There was something else out here, something beyond the wind and the ice, a presence that I couldn't quite define. A feeling of being watched, of being a small, insignificant speck in a landscape that had witnessed millennia of silence. The memory of my grandfather's weathered hands, callous from years of working the land, came to me unbidden. He had been a trapper, a hunter, a man who lived and breathed the Arctic. He had taught me everything I knew about survival, about respect for the land, about the delicate balance between man and nature. I could almost hear his voice, rough and gravelly, carried on the wind, reminding me of the old ways, of the importance of tradition, of the enduring strength of the human spirit. He used to tell me stories of the Inuit, the spirits that inhabited the land, watching over those who dared to venture into their domain. I had dismissed them as folklore then, but out here, in this vast, empty wilderness, I couldn't help but wonder if there was more to his stories than I had ever imagined. I remembered the day he gave me Nanook, then just a pup, all clumsy paws and boundless energy. "He's got the heart of a wolf," he'd said, his eyes twinkling. "He'll protect you, guide you, be your friend in the loneliest of places." I had scoffed then, too young to understand the profound connection between a man and his dog, between a man and the land. Now, years later, I finally understood. Nanook was more than just a dog. He was a link to my past, a reminder of my grandfather's wisdom, a symbol of the enduring spirit of the Arctic. He had also given me his rifle, a Winchester Model 70, worn smooth with age and use. It felt heavy and familiar in my hands, a tangible connection to my family's history. He had taught me how to shoot, how to hunt, how to respect the power of life and death. "This rifle is not just a tool," he had said. "It's a responsibility. It's a way to provide for yourself, to protect yourself, but it should never be used lightly." I carried his words with me, along with the weight of the rifle, a constant reminder of the lessons he had taught me. The snow started to fall again, thick, swirling flakes that obscured the horizon. Nanook whined softly, his ears twitching. He sensed something, something I couldn't yet perceive. I trusted his instincts. He had never steered me wrong before. I tightened my grip on the sled reins, my senses on high alert. The Arctic was a beautiful, unforgiving place, and it demanded respect. It was a place where survival depended on knowledge, skill, and a deep connection to the land. And it was a place where secrets were buried deep beneath the ice, waiting to be uncovered. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that we were about to find one. The blizzard, a howling white beast, descended with predatory speed. One moment, the snow was a manageable curtain. The next, it was a solid wall, obliterating the world. The dogs, sensing the shift, bunched together, their anxious whimpers lost in the wind's roar. Sergeant Major Olson barked orders, his voice strained, but the words were snatched away before they could reach us. We were alone, swallowed by the storm's fury. It was Olson who made the call. He saw it in the dogs' eyes, in the way the wind clawed at our faces, in the impossible density of the snow. We couldn't make it back to base. Not alive. We had to find shelter, and fast. A narrow crevice in the face of a cliff, barely visible through the swirling white, offered the only hope. It was small, cramped, barely enough room for the sled and the team, let alone the three of us. But it was protection, however meager, from the storm's ravenous hunger. The hours that followed were a blur of shivering bodies, gnawing hunger, and the deafening howl of the wind. We huddled together, sharing body heat, rationing the meager supplies we had left. Hope dwindled with each passing hour, replaced by a gnawing fear that settled deep in our bones. It wasn't just the cold, or the hunger, or even the isolation. It was the silence, the oppressive, suffocating silence between the gusts of wind, that truly terrified me. In that silence, I heard my own mortality, the whisper of the Arctic claiming me as its own. Then came the moment. The moment that shattered everything. Olson, ever vigilant, had been checking the dogs, ensuring their harnesses hadn't loosened, when he noticed it. One of the younger dogs, a beautiful husky named Luna, wasn't breathing. Her eyes were glazed over, her body stiff with cold. We tried everything. CPR, rubbing her chest, even breathing into her nostrils, but it was no use. Luna was gone. The silence that followed was even more profound than before. It was the silence of death, the silence of despair. Olson, a man who had seen more than his share of death, simply closed Luna's eyes and wrapped her in a spare blanket. He didn't say a word, but I saw the grief etched on his face, the pain that mirrored my own. Luna was more than just a dog. She was a member of our team, a companion, a lifeline in this desolate wilderness. Her loss was a blow to our morale, a stark reminder of the fragility of life in this unforgiving landscape. And then, the unthinkable happened. Sergeant Major Olson, the rock, the leader, the man who always had a plan, broke. He started to rant, muttering about the mission, about the futility of it all, about the politicians who sent us to this frozen hell. He cursed the Arctic, cursed the snow, cursed the very air we breathed. It was a terrifying sight, watching this pillar of strength crumble before my eyes. Corporal Davies and I exchanged worried glances. We were losing him. And if we lost him, we lost everything. The storm raged outside, mirroring the tempest within Olson. The crevice felt smaller, more suffocating than ever. We were trapped, not just by the blizzard, but by the despair that threatened to consume us all. The nightmares still come, even after all these years. I see Luna's lifeless eyes, Olson's broken face, the endless expanse of white. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding, the sound of the wind still ringing in my ears. The Arctic claimed more than just a dog that day. It claimed a part of my soul. I tried to forget, to bury the memories deep within. I threw myself into my work, into my family, into anything that could distract me from the ghosts of the past. But they always resurface, triggered by a cold wind, a snow flurry, the distant howl of a dog. The Arctic is a wound that never truly heals. Olson never fully recovered. He finished his tour, but he was never the same. The spark had gone out of his eyes, the confidence replaced by a haunted look. He retired soon after, retreating to a small cabin in the mountains, far away from the snow and the ice. We stayed in touch for a while, but the calls became less frequent, the silences longer. He died a few years ago, alone in his cabin, the Arctic finally claiming him, body and soul. Davies, on the other hand, seemed to thrive after the experience. He became a survival expert, writing books and giving lectures on how to survive in extreme environments. He even returned to the Arctic, leading expeditions for wealthy adventurers. I never understood how he could do it, how he could willingly return to the place that had almost killed us. Perhaps he found some kind of redemption in it, a way to conquer his fear. Or maybe he was simply running from his own ghosts, seeking solace in the very place that haunted him. I never went back. The Arctic holds no allure for me, only pain and regret. I see it now for what it is, a beautiful, deadly wilderness, indifferent to human suffering. A place where survival is a constant struggle, and death is always lurking just beneath the surface. A place that forever changed me. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and the world is still, I look out the window and imagine I see the northern lights dancing across the sky. For a moment, I'm transported back to that frozen crevice, back to the howling wind and the biting cold. I see Luna's eyes, Olsen's face, Davy's determined gaze. And I remember. I remember the fear, the despair, the loss. But I also remember the camaraderie, the resilience, the will to survive. And I know that even though the Arctic took something from me, it also gave me something in return. It taught me the value of life, the importance of friendship, and the enduring power of the human spirit. I still have the sled dog harness, tucked away in a box in the attic. I haven't been able to bring myself to throw it away. It's a reminder of Luna, of Olsen, of Davies, of the Arctic. A reminder of a time when I faced death and lived to tell the tale. A reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. Block 5, End, full expansion and resolution. The storm finally broke. Not with a sudden, dramatic clearing, but with a slow, grudging surrender. The wind, once a screaming banshee, became a mournful sigh. The snow, which had blinded and battered them for days, softened into a gentle, almost apologetic dusting. The world, previously a monochrome canvas of white and gray, began to hint at color, the pale blue of the sky peeking through the clouds, the stark black of exposed rock, the glint of ice reflecting the returning sun. Sergeant Major Anya Petrova stood beside the sled, the dogs panting softly around her. Their fur was caked with ice, their eyes weary, but their tails still wagged with a muted enthusiasm. She ran a gloved hand over Boris's thick coat, feeling the tremor of his powerful muscles beneath. He leaned into her touch, his warm breath misting in the frigid air. She looked back at the crevasse. The swirling snow had settled, revealing a scene of stark beauty. The ice walls shimmered with an ethereal blue light, and the faint glow emanating from within seemed almost otherworldly. The memories of the past days flooded back, the terror, the struggle, the unwavering loyalty of her team, both human and canine. And the face of her grandfather, etched into her mind as clearly as the lines on a weathered map. Taking a deep breath of the crisp, clean air, she walked towards the edge. Dmitri followed, his face pale but resolute. He stopped beside her, his hand instinctively reaching for the crucifix beneath his parka. "What do you see, Dmitri?" Anya asked, her voice barely a whisper. He stared into the crevasse, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Light, Anya. I see light, and something else." Anya peered into the depths. The glow was stronger now, pulsating with a soft, rhythmic beat. And beneath it, she could make out shapes. Not the jagged, random formations of natural ice, but something deliberate. Something constructed. Slowly, painstakingly, they began to descend. Anya went first, using her ice axe to secure each step. Dmitri followed, his movements cautious but determined. The dogs waited patiently at the top, their eyes fixed on their handlers. As they descended deeper, the temperature rose slightly. The air became thick with a strange, almost metallic scent. The light intensified, revealing the interior of a vast cavern. And there, in the center of the cavern, was it, a structure of ice, impossibly intricate and beautiful. It resembled a cathedral, with towering spires and delicate arches. Runes were carved into the ice, glowing with the same ethereal light. Anya recognized the symbols. They were ancient, pre-Christian. The symbols of her ancestors. The symbols her grandfather had shown her, whispered secrets from a forgotten past. "What is this place?" Dmitri breathed, his voice filled with awe. Anya didn't answer. She walked towards the structure, her heart pounding in her chest. As she reached the entrance, a figure emerged from the shadows. An old woman, her face etched with wisdom and sorrow. She was dressed in furs, her eyes as blue and piercing as the Arctic sky. "Welcome, Anya Petrova," the woman said, her voice soft but resonant. "I have been waiting for you." Anya stared at the woman, a thousand questions swirling in her mind. "Who are you? What is this place?" "I am a guardian," the woman replied. "This place is a sanctuary, a repository of knowledge and power. It has been hidden for centuries, protected by the ice and the storms. Your grandfather knew of its existence. He was one of us." The woman extended a hand, her gaze unwavering. "The world is changing, Anya. The old ways are fading. But the power of the Arctic remains. It is a power that must be protected. A power that must be used wisely." Anya hesitated, then took the woman's hand. A surge of energy coursed through her body, filling her with a sense of profound connection to the land, to her ancestors, to something far greater than herself. "I understand," Anya said, her voice filled with newfound resolve. "I will protect it." Dmitri watched, speechless, as Anya and the woman disappeared into the depths of the ice cathedral. He knew, in that moment, that their lives would never be the same. They had stumbled upon something ancient and powerful, something that would change the course of their destiny. Hours later, Anya and Dmitri emerged from the crevasse. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the snow. They said nothing, but their eyes held a shared understanding. They had seen the truth, and they knew what they had to do. They harnessed the dogs to the sled and began the long journey back to base. As they traveled, Anya looked back at the crevasse, now hidden once again beneath a veil of snow. She knew that the sanctuary would remain safe, protected by the ice and the storms, and by the unwavering loyalty of those who knew its secret. The Arctic wind howled around them, no longer a threat, but a song. A song of resilience, of survival, of the enduring power of the human spirit. A song of the North. Anya Petrova, Sergeant Major of the Arctic Brigade, knew her duty. She was not just patrolling the edge of the world. She was guarding its heart.